Well, good Saturday morning. I thought it would be nice to start our day off with a walk. You guys kind of remember this? Yeah, it's been a long time. The duck, you hear the ducks? They're somewhere back there. Yeah, it's hard to see them, but let's continue our walk. Um, it's cold, and I'm out here doing it. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Um, it was just so much easier in Cali because it was just warm all the time. I can get out and go for a walk, not have to be bundled up all the time. So I'm going to figure this out because exercising was really good for me. Really, really good. And I want to get back into it. We've already got our weights and all that fun stuff. So we're just have to figure out getting into the groove of routine of back into the exercising thing. But I'm going to walk up to the main street, which should give me about probably 2 miles or so, or give or take. And we will talk about how week 2 being home and also week 1 of work. So, yeah, get ready to, we're going to have a discussion about that and what's working, what's not working, things I might need to change up, but we'll see. We're going to have that kind of discussion. So, I will see you guys in a bit. All right, we had a very nice walk. So it's time to get into the vlog. This is a weekly update. If you're just joining me, thank you so much. A quick recap, I spent the last, I want to say 10 months or so, or more, somewhere around there, in California. I went out there to help with my mother-in-law. She has dementia. That was quite the experience. I plan to dedicate a vlog talking about that soon. And while I was there, because my daughter didn't live that far, I was able to see my daughter a lot. And found out she was pregnant. I was able to be there through the whole pregnancy, which I just love. I was there at the birth and everything, and I don't know, my heart was just so full and overflowing with love. So, and at the same time, while I was out there in California, I was able to work remotely. So, yeah, it was a kind of busy year this year, but more so busy, how do I say it, emotionally. Okay, that's probably the best way I can put it. So, probably about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I made a decision because everything was so repetitive and I was starting the process of pulling things together to return back home here to Seattle. I would just do weekly updates at the end of the week to talk about how my week went and all of that, because as you guys know, a few months ago I went back to tracking. I haven't been as strict with it as I should have been like the beginning, but I'm still tracking. So that brings you up to about right now. I have been back home for about 2 weeks. I've been at work back to the office physically just this past week. So let's talk about how things went. I'm still feeling just a little out of sorts, like I'm trying to get my footing again. Yes, I've been here for eons. For those that don't know, I was born and raised in California. I've been in Seattle, Washington for about almost 19, 20 years, almost. So, yeah, it didn't take me long to get acclimated to California and just love it. But coming back here, it felt almost like a culture shock to me a little bit. I did my first Costco order since being here about maybe a day ago or a couple of days ago. I'm just, um, how do I say it? There was a big difference between Costco shopping in California and Costco shopping here. I will say that. It seemed like there were a plethora of more options in California. And what I think I've talked about this before, what I'm really kind of realizing, and don't mind me, I get scatterbrained and I also have my food here, my breakfast. So we're going to eat breakfast and talk. And my breakfast is just my keto oatmeal, and I put a little bit of a leftover pork chop in it, and I have some coffee. But to get back to the topic, I don't know. It felt to me, now, not that this is super important, that California felt a little bit, which is weird, a little bit more health conscious and keto friendly than coming back here to Seattle, which is really bizarre because you would think Seattle, the health capital, not so much the health capital, but more healthy people. But what I've come to realize is more healthy, leaning towards veganism and vegetarianism. So that's that. So 2 weeks back here, my body is kind of, struggling to acclimate, get back. And I used to think there was something wrong with me because, and the doctors could never figure it out, my hands and feet were just always cold. I didn't have a thyroid issue. I didn't have all these other issues. But being in California, where it was a warmer climate, my hands were naturally just warm, normal body temperature, just warm, my hands and my feet, no issues. So it just let me know that, just being here, my body it has a hard time regulating the heat. That's the best way I can put it. But, and I know people probably say, well, if you liked it so much, why don't you try to stay or find a job? I did. I actually looked for several jobs, applied for several. Here's the thing for me at my age, because I'm much older. I'm much more closer to retiring than starting off my career. I'll put it that way. I'm an old lady. I think older people can relate to this. It's scary to change career paths when you're getting really close to retirement, unless you can change with a higher salary. Because I was not willing to go down in salary, because we all know what that means once you're so close to retiring, how that can be very detrimental to you. So that's that. So it wasn't like, oh, well, I'm just complaining and didn't do anything about it. Yes, I did. And I'm still doing stuff about it. So looking for jobs. But I'm not willing to work part-time or go down in pay. That's the thing. So being back at work for a week. Now, granted, my work week looks like is a Monday through Thursday. The days back in the office for me is Tuesday, Wednesday. Those days were picked based on meetings. So I could be there. Everybody could kind of be there and have their meetings, our kind of group meetings together. That Tuesday, because I had to get up really early because of where I live and where I work, 4 o'clock I'm up. Hopefully out of the door by 5, or not a little before that, to work a little before 6, because that traffic is horrendous. When I say horrendous, it is horrendous. And I was at work doing my work, and it's just like, I was just stressing because it's like, am I going to stay the whole day and then deal with traffic coming home? Because traffic coming home is even worse than traffic going to work. So what my boss said, well, since I get in so early and I start work, okay, finish the day at home, which I am grateful for. I'm super grateful. It is what it is. The only thing constant in life is change. So I'm just going to have to adapt to it. I think it's a win situation in a way, even though I love being able to work from home all the time, but it is what it is. 2 days a week, I guess I can't complain if I don't have to stay the whole time. Yes, I have to get up at the butt crack of yuck, but you know, you do what you have to do. Um, Getting back into the office was, it was okay. There were a few changes, some of them due to upgrades in technology and some of them because of, the ongoing, well, we're not in a pandemic anymore, but those rules still kind of applying and all that stuff. But um, I'm doing my best to acclimate. I'm really working on it, working hard, trying to acclimate back. I do have therapy appointments coming up. So I'm trying to work through a lot of things with my therapist so that I'm not coming to my wife all the time with the same thing all the time. So I'm doing my best to try to work through a lot of things and, therapy also. So I'm doing things to try to better myself and help myself. Like I said, I just don't sit around and complain for the fact of complaining. If I'm going to talk about something, I need to try to figure out how can I have solutions for it too. One of my solutions, again, talking to my therapist, and again with the whole cold weather in Seattle, I am looking at my options as far as trying to find employment someplace else. But again, I cannot go down and pay. So we'll see how some of this pans out. But that's basically how my week went. I was in contact with the people that's going to send me a new scale, and hopefully by, I think the lady said the 16th or 17th, I should have it, and I'll do an official. I might need some help, but I'll try to do an official step on that scale weigh in, because scales are different from the one I was using when I was back at my mother-in-law. So we'll see where I'm at. Where I'm at is just where I'm at. Have I been keto? Yes. Have I been eating maybe a little too much sometimes? Yes. And I'm going to be reining that in. If you don't know my history, I come from a background of food addiction. So, a background of food addiction, I have been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So, the way I would self-soothe in the past is with copious amounts of unhealthy food. Okay. So I don't do that anymore. I try not to, and I haven't. To be honest, I don't think I've had a binge in a year or more, 2 years. Probably about almost close to 2 years. But have I overeaten? Yes. Have I gone off plan? Yes. I'm not a perfect person. But the stage where I'm at, if I get kind of derailed, I'm more apt to get back on it right away with a quickness, and just pick up where I left off and keep going. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And my little update, like I said, home. Been back home for 2 weeks. Past week at work, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was, it was okay. It was bearable. But I think if I had to have stayed all day long, it would not have been quite as bearable. So I'm just trudging along. I'm going to say it's going okay. Your journey is your journey. There's going to be ups and downs, but you just keep going and get through it. And I think how you approach it and react to all these things, the ups and the downs, that will determine, your outcomes. And I'm doing my best to better myself, to try and not get derailed. And even though there's some things I do not like, I detest, it's part of life. You do some of the things you don't like to do sometimes. And, when it gets too hard, Try to have good people you can lean on and talk to. And there is nothing wrong with having a therapist, believe me, to download to figure things out. So that has been my 2 weeks. Not that exciting, but in this, at the same breath, not that boring either. Um, like I said, on a separate update, I will talk more about my experience being in California with my mother-in-law and experience going through the ups and downs and waves of the whole dementia with her. So, yeah. Also, I forgot, yeah. In the midst of all of that, I became a grandma and all that, and I've just been missing my daughter and my grandbaby a lot. I can't believe my granddaughter is 3 weeks old already. It's just like, oh my God. I remember her being born, and it's just like, 3 weeks already? And my daughter sent me a little video, and we would, video chat and all that. I'm like, oh my God, she's grown. It's almost like her little legs went from here to here. Because I think she's going to be a tall girl. But yeah, just a lot. And like I said, the only thing constant is change. If you're one of the OG people looking at me, you remember how much we talked about Winthrop. That's all we did was go through Winthrop. We could buy a place in Winthrop. And it's like, do I want a place in Winthrop? Do we want to retire in Winthrop? I have a grandchild now. I don't want to be far from my grandchild. So it's amazing how things happen and things shift with you. What you thought was something, a concrete plan, because we were looking at, if you remember years ago, we were looking at houses there. That's how things can change. Your life can just all of a sudden just change. So that is my update, and I do not want to ramble. I'm going to let you guys go. Next week we will have to do some cooking, and yeah, so stay tuned for that. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget, if you're so inclined, to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Leave comments below if you have questions or you just want to comment. And I will be back later. Mwah.